Okay guys, this will be the third lesson. It's been a while since I made a lesson. There was like a short 1 or 2 day break, so forgive me for that. Um, anyways, last time we went over at the scroll subject-verb agreement. We did a bit of idioms and prepositions, right? That was last lesson. Today I wanna go through the modifiers. Are there questions? We may also do some of these questions. And finally, run-on sentences. I think those two will be it. And below that, we have there's some practice questions. Maybe we can do a bit of that. Fragments. It's kind of goes together with run-on, so I might do it if we have time. If not, I'll leave it for next time. So, anyways, we'll start with modifiers. Another similar to prepositions, like one of those grammar things. So let's just start off with this first example. Recognize what's funny about this sentence. So after being beaten and deflated, the baker shaped and seasoned the dough. So I hope you see it immediately. After being beaten and deflated, the baker was beaten and deflated. Um, well, I mean that's possible, but that's very weird, and I don't think that's what the writer of the sentence was implying, right? I think he meant the dough was being beaten and deflated, right? Not the baker. So that's the funny thing about this sentence, and this is where modifiers come in. Essentially, there are a lot of sentences like these. A lot of times you'll find sentences like these that aren't clear. You might get what they're saying, but they're not clear, and they can easily be misinterpreted. That's why modifiers come in. They make things clear. So if you put a modifier here, um, well, this one already had a modifier before but was misplaced. If we put it in the correct position, if we do it properly, we can write after being beaten and deflated, the dough, not the baker. If you put the baker after that, people are going to assume that the beaten and deflated, those actions were done to the baker. So you got to put the dough, after that description. After being beaten and deflated, the dough was shaped and seasoned by the baker. Who's shaped and seasoned? The baker, who was beaten and deflated the dough. So that's how you would structure it so the sentence makes more sense. Got a few examples over here. I bought a house from the local bakery made of gingerbread. Um, so you bought a house from a local bakery. That bakery was made of gingerbread. That's the understanding that I'm getting. But obviously, you mean a gingerbread house. You bought that from a local bakery. So it's said, I bought a house made of gingerbread from a local bakery. You know, a very easy way to fix this, keep in mind, the things you're describing, keep them close to each other, right? So you bought a house, gingerbread, that's a description for the house, and the bakery is a description for the gingerbread and the house. So you want to keep the house and gingerbread close to each other, near each other, and keep the local bakery, that word, away. So about a house made of gingerbread, you're putting those two words close to each other, so they can associate, so the reader can associate with that, with associate them with each other. And then from the local bakery, it makes more sense. Over here as well, beaten and deflated, what's being beaten and deflated? The dough. So it doesn't make sense if you put that description and the subject, the dough, really far away. Put them next to each other, so the reader understands that they're referring to each other. So beaten and deflated, the dough was being beaten and deflated, and then the baker put it at the end. So it's a lot about where you place your words and put the words that relate to each other near each other, right? Example 2, let's just do this one. Watching the end of the world, our lives flash before our eyes. So again, this does not make sense. uh, It would be better if they wrote, well, while we were watching the end of the world, right? Our lives flashed before our eyes. So it's simply more clear. You're watching the end of the world. I won't talk about the context here, but well, if Well, if that's what's happening, so be it. While you're doing that, your lives are flashing before your eyes. Um, so this sense makes much more sense compared to the first one, right? And so example three, let this be the last one, right? So I'm not being redundant. Um, yeah, keep modifiers right next to the thing that are supposed to describe. I mean, I didn't even read this rule, but and that makes a lot of sense. Put the words that relate to each other close to each other. So I mean, that's really what it's about. Running fiercely to the bathroom, John's pants dropped. So doesn't make much sense. Running fiercely to the bathroom, John dropped his pants. Makes more sense. The pants is John's, and that's the thing that dropped. Um, so so you can read this description. Yeah, pants can't run by themselves. They can't run to the bathroom. John's pants dropped, running fiercely. So in the first one, you're assuming who's running fiercely, John's pants, but they can't run. So it's running fiercely, John. So he's the one running fiercely. You have to put John next to it, and then dropped his pants. John did that. So it can be a bit tricky. I'm thinking it's super tricky. If you just read it completely, and most people when they speak English normally, um, native speakers, they don't make these mistakes because the sentence is simply sound incorrect. So that's kind of how you'd work around it. Put the words next to each other, read them. See what those adjectives, whatever those actions are describing. Right, running fiercely, John's pants. Nope, running fiercely, John. Yeah, that makes more sense. And that John dropped his pants. So yeah, that's how you would kind of make sure you're not falling into these traps. Staying away from these problems. Hopefully, you can get them right. It's one of those grammar problems. Usually, these are the easier parts. But anyways, yeah, I said I wouldn't do another one. I think let's just do one more. Spotted dealing cocaine. The police arrested the drug dealers. So, spotted dealing the cocaine. The police. So the police were spotted dealing cocaine. That doesn't make sense, right? The drug dealers were. So you're putting the police next to spotted dealing cocaine. That doesn't make sense. So could say drug dealers who were arrested by the police. I think that would work too. And resolve this modifier issue. Spotted dealing cocaine. The drug dealers, were arrested by the police. But then that would cause another problem, which is known as passive voice. I think we'll get to that later. So yeah, there would be a voice issue. So um, you could just say the police arrested the drug dealers who were spotted dealing cocaine. Yeah, same thing, but put the spotted dealing cocaine, put that near the end, fixes the voice issue. That probably doesn't make much sense, but I'll get to that in like one of the later videos. So yeah, that's how I deal with that. Okay, now finally that's the end of modifiers.